Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm just here to bring you my new style kind of fold out flip pocket idea for a junk journal. I don't think I've seen anyone do these before, but obviously, you know, if people have, because, you know, they are very simple, I'm sure that I haven't kind of, you know, invented the wheel here or anything like that, then I do apologise. I just hadn't seen them kind of myself. So I will just kind of demonstrate. So I'm going to show you a couple that I've made already and decorated, just to give you some ideas, and then we're going to obviously make one together. So the first one here, this is basically, basically how the idea works. You've got a kind of flap here that's actually glued down, and then you've got a kind of pocket here to tuck something in, and then I would kind of glue it down here, so you've got a kind of pocket arrangement here at the side, and then basically you can fold it out here, so you've got some journaling space here on the back, and then when you untuck the flap, you have then got a whole bunch of journaling space. I hope I'm in frame. A whole bunch of journaling space in there like that. And I think the options are quite, you know, endless with this, because you could always actually, you know, I'm just literally grabbing some scraps from my son's desk, but you could also, you know, pop some extra pages in here, staple them in like a kind of little bit of a pad. You know, you've got quite a lot of different options. I'm just going to show you kind of a couple of basic, you know, the basic thing itself, if you see what I mean. But I mean, obviously where you go from there, I think you'd have kind of quite a lot of possibilities. So that's the first one. The second one, basically what I've done, I've just popped on a couple of flowers from my printables, some lace trim, and then a little journaling card there, and I've just tucked it in like this. And this one actually, you can tuck it in here behind the flowers also. I quite like how that kind of looks then. So take out the journaling card, and it's exactly the same. You've got obviously journaling space here, and then untuck your flap, and you've got obviously journaling space inside. So exactly the same concept. And, you know, again, I mean, you'll have to excuse this because it's obviously not glued down. It's tricky to work with, but you know, exactly the same. I would just kind of glue it down like that and have it as a kind of top, pocket at the side as well. So that's that one. Then I've got this one in this gorgeous orange tone. I've got, again, one of my printables. I've got some lace trim, two different types of lace trim, some book page and a little flower. And again, you've got some journaling space there, which actually this one I must have kind of folded slightly differently because it didn't seem to want to unfold. But you've got journaling space there, and obviously, you know, if you want it to lay completely flat, you've got journaling space there as well. Oops. So that's that one. I didn't tuck anything in, but obviously you could. This one I love because, as you know, I love tying things up. So this one I have just attached some string, so that's just glued on at the back. And basically I have just tucked in a couple of my printables there for journaling cards. They just tuck in neatly like that. And then you've got exactly the same concept in that you've got the tuck in there, and then you can open it out for journaling, and then you can obviously pop it on there flat for journaling on that side as well. So, and this paper was so pretty, I didn't really want to cover it up with kind of embellishments or anything. So that's why I just thought I would go with just the string, because you know, that felt then decorated enough. So that's that one. And then we've got the baby version. So again, exactly the same. I've just tucked in a journaling card from my printables, a couple of images from the printables there, and then this flap tucks in like that. Again, opens out and journaling on the back. And I feel like with this smaller one, what you could do is kind of just glue it on two sides, and obviously you'd have it as a loading kind of pocket from that angle there. So that's that one. Okay, so we're going to kind of attempt to make one now. Now I feel a bit nervous about this because, as you know, if you follow my channel, I am a bit of a kind of wing and a prayer person. I don't really tend to measure things or anything, and I do judge things by eye. So, you know, this may not go to plan, because I'm going to obviously try and be a bit more precise from the point of a tutorial, because otherwise it might not be so helpful for you guys. So here's one that I've kind of lined up like a template. So obviously, as you can see, it's kind of the same, you know, the same length. It's a section from a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. And basically, if you kind of measure it, it's just over 30 centimetres. So I'm going to work in centimetres just so it's easier to kind of divide it up, really. So what I have been doing is having a kind of 2 centimetre flap. So if I just kind of, whoops, mark that with my scorer here, and then kind of come up here like that, and we'll just do the score line so it's easy to fold. So that's going to be our flap that we're going to kind of obviously glue down to tuck in. So that's that one. So that's obviously the equivalent of here. Now, what I have been doing is then kind of making these sections roughly 7 centimetres. Now, I mean, again, it doesn't have to be absolute, you know, because so long as kind of your flap can tuck in, it's all good. And so long as it, you know, lines up roughly. So I'm going to just fold that there. Oops. Like that. So this one obviously needs to fold this way. Like that. Sorry about that noise. So that's that one. And then the next flap, obviously, you want to go back in. So I personally, you know, rather than measuring up, I find it easier to just kind of eyeball it to make sure it's kind of lined up with the edge like that. So like that. And then again, you just fold over here to make your little flap that's going to tuck in. So as you can see, you've got a kind of, it's not a concertina. So you've got your folding flap obviously that way, then you've got going backwards, then forwards, and then instead of like the concertina going backwards, you've got this one coming back round to the front. Hope that makes sense. So what then I do is obviously I glue down this part here. So just a tiny bit of glue, because obviously, you know, otherwise you're going to have to trim more away from your flap. So just glue that like that. Okay. And then you need to trim your pieces here so that they actually can tuck in, because obviously you're forming a flap there. So I'm just going to do that, and then this side here like that. Okay, so that's kind of how it's going to be, and then that will tuck in here. Now I'm not going to tuck it in right this second, because obviously this is still kind of drying and I don't want to kind of risk pulling it up. So that's kind of that, and then obviously we can now decorate it. So you can rough up the edges a bit, you know, to make it look a bit more rustic. So I just like to go along the edges a bit with the scissors here. on the inside. Okay, and then what we'll do, I'm just going to tear out a couple of pages from this book to just kind of, you know, while I'm inking up, just to protect my surface a little bit more. Not that it needs protecting, but obviously I don't want ink on there that's then going on to everything else. So I'm just going to literally ink it up, and I want to be very generous with this ink to make it look very kind of old and, you know, very kind of vintage. So I'm just going to ink all around like that. Okay. And then I'm just going to ink up here on the flap. And again, I'm just going to be, you know, really generous with the ink so that it does look very kind of old and vintage. I mean, obviously this is kind of brown, so I'm using vintage photo. It's not necessarily showing up a great deal on top of this brown, but certainly it looked really good on the other side, which was that kind of, you know, kind of more beige colour. Okay, so looking good. Actually, just going to literally ink up here. Okay. So, oops. Just got that like that, and then obviously we can tuck the flap in like that. So, I mean, I think that looks really nice even just how it is, and doesn't even need kind of anything much else on there. But, oops, obviously if you want to decorate it, I've just brought along kind of one or two things that we can kind of pop on. So I've just got some book page here. You know, I've just tried to kind of tear out a couple of things to kind of use. Or I have got these little items from my Gypsy Rose kit, so, which actually absolutely love that clock on there. So, and I did bring a rose along, so we could kind of have the rose there as well. So that looks quite pretty, doesn't it? And then I've also got some crocheted kind of lace that we could kind of pop down here on the edge. That looks quite nice. So what I will do is I will just distress these items probably now before gluing them on. So again, that one, distress the rose here, and I'll just distress the leaf. So all of these bits are just from my Gypsy Rose kit, so I just thought they went rather nicely here with this brown. So I'm just going to stick on the book page like that, and then we've got obviously the clock. Now you have to excuse the state of my hands. I have been doing a whole ton of coffee staining yesterday, so my hands are looking very bad today. I was coffee dyeing quite a bit of fabric and some lace and things, so really has not not had an attractive kind of appearance there on my hands, I'm afraid. So we've got that one, and then obviously we can just kind of, whoops, the rose on like that. I actually have got a couple of other flowers, so I'm just going to see if they look pretty on here. They did, don't they? I might actually kind of mix it up with these ones from my little journaling card kit, which has also got some flowers to be cut out, and these are obviously them. They're very pretty in this kind of pale pink, which I love pink and brown together. They just look so pretty, don't they? So, and I do like mixing things up a bit. So if we just pop that there, and then we can obviously pop the crochet down there, maybe a flower here. So that looks pretty, doesn't it? So just going to glue on this flower. I should have really bought my hot glue gun so that I could do it very quickly, but never mind. So we can glue this crochet down the side. Like that. I'll just trim that off. Actually, that's annoying because I had also bought this pink lace along, which actually is kind of vintage trim. And that would have actually looked really pretty too. Still, never mind, we've glued it on now. I have got a little bow there that we could have. That's pretty, isn't it? I might do it like that. So I'm just going to glue this flower here, at the top of that clock, and then what I might do is just distress the crochet a bit, because otherwise that was looking quite stark, you know, against the other quite distressed items. There we go, like that. And then I might just glue that ribbon there. Now, unfortunately, as I say, I didn't bring my hot glue, so I'm just going to have to do that like that. And I do normally prefer to glue things like bows with hot glue. So I'm just going to try and move that to the side to actually have something weighing it down, just so that that actually, you know, does stick on. So I'm just going to kind of move it like that under there. Okay, and then so that's that one. Then I've obviously got a couple that I've kind of semi-made that I thought again we could just kind of decorate and kind of do together. So this was made exactly the same. So we had kind of the 2 centimeters, just over 2 centimeters flap there that we obviously will glue down. So we'll just glue that now. And hopefully you can see I'm literally just using a tiny bit of glue on each edge, like that. I'll just press that down. And then obviously I did the first fold at that kind of roughly 7 centimeter point, and that fold goes back. And then obviously the other folds, you know, I don't feel that you really need to kind of measure, because obviously you can use the piece here as a guide. So you're just folding forwards again like a concertina, and then instead of going back like a concertina, you're coming forward and over like that, and that's your flap. So then I obviously snipped off the corners just like you do a tag, and then that would tuck in. I'm not going to tuck it in again right now because, like last time, it's actually you know, the glue is drying, so I'll just wait for a moment. Just going to rough up the edges a bit so that we can make it look a little bit more vintage. Just do it down there, down this bit here, that bit there, just a little bit in the inside, not too much, but just a bit. Right, so now what we can do is obviously just distress ink around there, like that. Distress ink down that edge and down there. And then we'll just open it up, just distress ink a bit inside. This one's been coffee dyed, so it's quite rustic looking anyway, but just to kind of make sure it's even more, just distress ink a bit there. Okay, so looking good. And then I brought along, these are some of my other printables from my kind of journaling cards and flowers. So again, I've just got, hoping that that glue is dry enough, maybe to tuck this in here. Okay, so we could obviously have this bit of book page. I'm just going to tear it slightly more because it was quite wide for that. And then I've brought along all of these so we could kind of pop on maybe a ticket. In fact, maybe we could have that ticket here, and then we could have some flowers kind of there. We could have, in fact, this kind of big piece here of flowers, and then we could pop this in as kind of the journaling card that we tuck in, and we could even tuck a couple in. So let's distress ink these items. Just trying to kind of go quite quickly so as we achieve quite a bit rather than really bore everyone. So like that. And then this one, if we're gluing this down, obviously I don't need to distress ink the back of it because it's going to be glued onto the piece of paper. Just do this little ticket. Okay, so just grab this paper, like that. Then we'll stick this on here. Like that. And then we've obviously got these lovely flowers. And just go on like that. And then the ticket, we could either have the ticket up here or along here, and then we could have some of the lace trim kind of down the side, and we could use this pretty pink this time. So I'm just going to distress this lace trim. So this lace trim is vintage. I managed to get a whole spool of it the other day from a charity shop. I mean, it's not hugely vintage, but I think she said, I can't remember now whether the original label was on it, but for some reason 1980 something is kind of springing to mind. So yeah, not hugely vintage, but vintage enough. So bring this back. We pop that there, and we could either have the ticket like this or on there. That's quite nice, isn't it? Or, you know, you could have it kind of up here. So what I'm going to do is glue that lace trim on. So again, kind of wish I had my hot glue gun with me, but I just wanted to come along quickly to do this tutorial. I don't know when this video will actually be uploaded because, you know, sometimes they take an incredibly long time and then they fail and things like that. But it's my time, it's Sunday morning. My husband's just taking my eldest son to his Saturday job, because it's actually about 8 miles away and the buses are not great on a Sunday. So he's just taking him. So I thought just quickly come along and do this tutorial before my husband gets back. So that's that. Right. And then I rather like that on there, so we'll just pop some glue like that. And then could actually have some more flowers somewhere, so we're just distressing those again. Like that. Them there. Super pretty, you know, really like that. Just quite simple, but you know, really beautiful. And then we're just distressing this journaling card, which then this just ties in that pink from the ribbon, not the ribbon, sorry, the lace trim that's down the side. Just distressing it on the back. There we go. Really pretty. So that's kind of those two. So what we'll do, I'll just show you how these would look now in a journal. So just pull it back. So obviously if that were to be on this page here, pop my lid on the glue before I forget. If that were to be on that page there, it would just literally kind of, I would glue it here and down the side and at the bottom, so as it were a pocket here, a pocket here, so this kind of, there we go, you've got kind of a double pocket arrangement going on, so you've got a pocket at the back, pocket here, and then obviously take this out, and then you've got your tuck in flap that comes out. Sorry, those flowers aren't that well glued on because obviously I've only just done it. But that comes out, and then you've got obviously journaling space all there. And obviously turn it over and it lays flat. You've got more journaling space on the back. So, I mean, I just think they're quite nifty, you know, quite like them. So, oops, like that and like that. So, yeah. I quite like them. Let me just see whether that bow has actually dried onto the brown one that we did. Hold on. Okay, so pull that one back in. So again, exactly the same. This is the brown one that we just did. So this again, I would kind of glue down here, pop it on here. You've got then obviously your pocket there. Then here, tucked into the flap, you have got obviously journaling space all inside, and turn it over and you've got journaling space there. So I just think they're really pretty and yeah, kind of useful. I mean, they're a bit like a kind of envelope in the style of the flap. Obviously this is just the style that I have been using with these, you know, like tag shaped corners. Obviously, you know, you could kind of play around and do some other corners, you know, something else completely. That was just kind of what I came up with. I was going to kind of play, but I probably haven't got time today. But another kind of idea is you could obviously have a thumb hole. So this was another one I was going to play with obviously today, but there won't be time. But you could have a thumb hole there in the 2 centimetre wide flap. And obviously then you'd tuck your flap in and it would have the thumb hole. I mean, I'm just kind of suggesting that because I quite like the look of the thumb holes. And then obviously, you know, you could then put your journaling cards in like that. You know, I think you've got a few different possibilities that you could do. So yeah, I hope that you liked them. I hope you thought they were kind of cute and, you know, kind of nice to use in your journals, and, you know, feel free obviously to go ahead and use them in your work. You know, I'd love to see kind of what you come up with using them and kind of how you vary them. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed the tutorial. Thanks a lot. Bye.